Welcome, everyone, to Quick Speak, the English podcast.
Hello.
This is a podcast designed to help you learn English. We talk about interesting topics, and we try to speak slowly and clearly.
That's the idea, so you can follow along easily and maybe pick up some new words and ideas.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something very current. The difference between human influencers and, well, AI influencers, artificial intelligence.
And how companies are using both types, really, for online promotion and marketing.
It's a really fascinating area, changing so fast.
It really is. First off, maybe we should clarify influencer marketing itself.
Good idea.
It's basically when companies use people or, things that look like people to talk about products or ideas online. You see them all over social media.
Right, on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. And this AI part is really shaking things up.
Definitely. The market just for AI influencers is growing incredibly quickly.
Do we have any numbers on that? How big is it?
We do. For 2024, the AI influencer market is expected to be worth around $6.95 billion.
Wow, nearly $7 billion.
Yeah. And when you think the total influencer market is about $24 billion, well, AI is making up almost 30% of that already.
30%. That's huge. A really significant slice.
It is. And it shows where things might be heading. Lots of businesses are planning to get involved.
Oh, really?
Yes. About 63% of marketing professionals say they're planning to use AI in their influencer campaigns. It's becoming, quite a standard tactic.
Can you give us an example, like a specific AI influencer?
Sure. There's a company based in Barcelona called The Clueless. They actually create these virtual personalities.
Okay.
And one of their big ones is Atana Lopez. She looks totally real on Instagram, and she has like over 300,000 followers.
300,000 for someone who isn't real.
Exactly. People follow her life, her style, just like a human influencer.
So why would a company choose Aitana over a real person? What's the driver?
Well, a big one is cost. Let's
Yep.
be honest. Hiring human influencers, especially popular ones, can be very, very expensive.
Right.
These virtual models created with computers, they're generally more economical, cheaper to work with in the long run.
Saves money. Makes sense from a business perspective. What are the predictions then for the future?
Well, the trend seems clear. Marketing leaders are planning to spend more here. By 2026, the prediction is they might allocate about 30% of their total influencer budget just to virtual creators.
Another 30% figure, so they really believe this is a key part of the future.
It certainly looks that way. They see it as a growing and valuable area.
Okay, so maybe we should talk about how they're actually made. What goes into creating one of these AI influencers?
Right. It's quite a mix of technology and art. It starts with really advanced computer programs.
Okay.
These programs are basically designed to copy human behavior. Things like, facial expressions, body language, how people move and react.
So the computer kind of learns to act human.
In a way, yes, to imitate it very convincingly. Then you have graphic designers come in.
The artistic side.
Exactly. They make the AI influencer look appealing, make them fit the target audience the company wants to reach. They design the look, the clothes, the whole visual style.
And how do they talk? How do they interact online?
That uses technology called natural language processing, or NLP.
NLP, heard of that.
Yeah, it helps computers understand and use human language, like the words we're using right now. Combine that with computer graphics for the visuals.
And you get something that seems real.
Pretty much.
Yep.
It allows them to interact online, reply to comments, create posts, videos, content that feels quite lifelike.
So they can actually chat with followers.
They can interact, yes,
Oh.
within the limits of their programming, of course.
Yeah.
But here's a really key point. They are completely customizable.
Customizable. How so?
Companies can change almost anything, their personality traits, their look, the style of their posts, and they can adjust this based on data they collect about what works.
So they can optimize them.
Exactly. It gives companies a huge amount of control, which is a really important word here.
Control. Okay, let's unpack that. Human versus AI. When we talk about trust and control, what are the main differences?
Well, the biggest strength, probably, for human influencers is authenticity. That feeling that they're real.
Genuine.
Yes, people feel they're connecting with a real person, someone with actual experiences, feelings. And because of that, they tend to be seen as more trustworthy.
People feel they have more mind. Is that the right word?
That's how some studies put it, yeah. People perceive humans as having more mind, the ability to think, feel, have intentions, be responsible.
And because they trust them more, they might also blame them more if something goes wrong.
That seems to be the case. It's a person there to hold accountable.
Okay, so that's the human side. What about the AI side, with that control we mentioned?
Right. AI influencers offer companies, well, total control. They don't have bad days. They don't get involved in personal scandals, hopefully. They're always perfectly on brand. They say and do exactly what the company wants. And this is a big plus for brands. About 31.7% say greater control over messaging is a key benefit.
Total message control. I can see why that's attractive.
Definitely. But there's a flip side. If an AI influencer makes a mistake, maybe shares wrong information or the tone is off, feels weird,
Right.
it can actually hurt the brand more. Because the AI can't genuinely apologize. It can't take responsibility in a human way.
Ah, so the frustration goes directly to the company behind the AI.
Exactly. There's no human buffer to sort of absorb the issue or express remorse.
That's a really interesting point. What about engagement then? Do people interact as much with AI, likes, comments, that sort of thing?
No, there's quite a big difference there, actually. Human influencers still get much higher engagement.
Really? How much more?
Well, the data shows human influencers get almost 6 times more likes on their posts, but 5.8 times more to be precise.
6 times?
Yeah, and for sponsored posts, the paid ads, humans get nearly 3 times more engagement, around 2.7 times more.
So that suggests people still value that real connection. It translates into interaction.
It seems so. That authenticity factor really seemed to matter for engagement.
And what about the money side, the earnings per post?
Oh, the difference there is even more stark. It's huge.
Oh, huge.
Okay, on average, a human influencer might earn around $78,777 for a single sponsored post.
$78,000. Wow.
Yeah. Now, compare that to an AI influencer whose average is about $1,694 per post.
1,600 compared to nearly 80,000.
Yes. It's about 46 times more earnings for the human influencer on average.
46 times. That really shows where brands are still putting the big money, doesn't it? They're paying for that human trust and connection.
It strongly suggests that, yes, despite the rise of AI, that human element is still highly valued financially speaking.
Is there any specific area where AI influencers are used more often than humans?
That's an interesting question. The data points to one area, promoting content for adults.
Adult content.
Yes, about 31% of AI influencer promotions fall into that category, compared to only 15% for human influencers.
Why do you think that is?
Well, one thought is that maybe the lack of a real person involved reduces certain risks or sensitivities in that particular market. It avoids potential personal complications, perhaps.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift focus a bit to younger people. Generation Z. How do they view AI influencers? Do they buy into it?
Studies suggest that Gen Z, well, they definitely follow AI influencers. They engage with them online.
But do they know the difference?
Oh, yes.
Good.
They seem very aware of the difference between a sophisticated program and an actual person.
Okay.
They tend to perceive human influencers as having more complex mental abilities, things like empathy, understanding feelings, and self-awareness.
So they still see humans as more real in a deeper sense.
It seems so. They connect those abilities, thinking, feeling, being responsible more, with real creators.
Yeah.
And for them, trust seems to stem from that sense of reality, that capability for real thought and action, not necessarily from being perfect.
So it's okay if humans make mistakes, but it's the realness that builds trust.
That's what the research suggests. And interestingly, when things do go wrong,
Yes.
human influencers get blamed more personally, as we said. But paradoxically, people often trust the brand more afterwards, if the brand handles it well with the human influencer.
Why would that be?
Maybe because people expect humans to err, and they respect when a brand takes responsibility alongside the human creator. With AI, there's no personal blame for the AI, so it all just lands squarely on the brand. Less room for forgiveness, perhaps.
That's a fascinating dynamic. Blame, trust, responsibility. It works differently.
Yeah.
Let's circle back to the economics then. The costs and benefits for a company.
Right. So we mentioned cost earlier.
Yeah.
Once you have the AI influencer created, and that initial creation can be expensive.
Okay, the setup cost.
Yes. But after that, the ongoing costs can be much lower than with humans. No salaries in the same way, no travel budgets, no complex contracts sometimes.
And they can work 204/7, right?
Exactly. Nonstop. So these virtual models are often described as more economical in the long run, especially compared to the rising fees of top human influencers.
And you mentioned creative control, too.
Yes, unmatched creative control is a phrase often used. It's easy to change their look, their clothes, their poses digitally. No need for expensive photo shoots or disagreements about style.
Just update the program.
Pretty much. But again, that initial investment shouldn't be underestimated. Building a really high-quality, believable AI influencer, that takes serious tech and skilled people.
So it might be a barrier for smaller companies.
It could be, yes. The upfront cost can be significant.
What about reaching different parts of the world? Is that an advantage for AI?
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge plus. Global scalability.
How so?
Well, AI influencers can be programmed to speak multiple languages.
Yeah.
They can be culturally adapted, their style, their references for different audiences in different countries.
Much easier than flying a human influencer around the world and hoping they connect everywhere.
Exactly. It makes them really effective for global campaigns. Plus, they can work on many campaigns at once across different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, you name it.
That scale is hard for a person to match.
Very hard. Humans need sleep, they have limits. AI can just keep going, adapting to different formats easily.
And they can use data too, right? To personalize.
Yes, they can leverage data analytics to understand audience preferences in real time and tailor the content, make it super relevant to specific groups.
So it's that combination of broad reach and personalization that's powerful.
Very powerful, especially for big international companies.
It sounds like there are many upsides for businesses, but surely there must be some downsides or ethical concerns.
Yes, absolutely. There are some very important ethical questions being raised. Well, one major area is about who is creating these AI influencers and who they're meant to represent.
Okay.
For instance, you see quite a few virtual influencers designed to look like young women of color. But often, the teams creating them behind the scenes are, say, white men in marketing agencies.
I see. So there's a disconnect between the creator and the created identity.
Yes, and some critics see this as a kind of new form of commodification, like gender and racial identity are being turned into digital products that can be designed and sold.
A modification,
Right.
treating identity like a commodity, a thing to be bought and sold.
Right. It raises really complex questions about representation, authenticity, and whether these AI figures might actually end up reinforcing harmful stereotypes, even unintentionally.
Do you have an example of this causing issues?
Yes, there was a case with Meta, the company behind Facebook and Instagram. They created some AI chatbot profiles.
Mm-hmm.
One was called Liv, and she was described as a black queer mother. But reports emerged that no black creators were actually involved in making her.
Oh.
And apparently, the Liv profile itself even posted something online, acknowledging that its existence could potentially cause harm. It just shows how tricky these waters are.
Definitely. Creating virtual people representing real identities, it's complicated.
Very complicated. Lots to think about there.
So just to sort of wrap up our discussion today, AI influencers are clearly a big, growing part of the online marketing world.
Growing fast. They offer companies things like, that tight control and easy global reach.
But human influencers still seem to hold the advantage when it comes to authenticity and building real trust.
Especially with younger people like Gen Z. That feeling of connection with a real person, it still seems incredibly important. People connect with people.
It really does seem that way. This has been a really interesting look into the world of AI influencers.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to the end of this session of Quick Speak, the English podcast. We really hope this conversation helped you learn some new vocabulary and understand this evolving topic a bit better.
Thanks for tuning in.
Please do subscribe to Quick Speak, the English podcast, so you don't miss future episodes. You can continue learning English with us.
And check out our website, too.
Yes, you'll find the link in the description right below this podcast. On the website, we've got extra learning materials related to today's topic.
Things like vocabulary lists, maybe some exercises to help you practice what you heard today.
Exactly. So thanks again for listening.
Bye for now.